Hi there, students. I had a question from Sadat Bhatt about what's the difference between in theory, in principle, and in essence. And I think this is a great question. So let's see. In theory, it says that something is possible theoretically. It should happen like that if the theory is correct. But the problem is, often in life, the things don't happen according to theory, so often it doesn't happen like that. So in theory, the journey to work should take me 15 minutes. But if there's an accident, it could take me various hours. Okay, so in theory, according to the theory. In principle, I agree to this in principle. I agree to this idea in general, but I don't necessarily support it in every situation. Or I don't actually support it in reality. So in principle, this is a good idea, but the problem is, in practice, it's not always possible. So I agree with the principle. In principle, I like this idea, but there are some circumstances where I don't think this is applicable. So it's similar to in theory, but in theory is different. In theory is purely theoretical and ideas in the mind. And in principle, as a basic idea, this is good. But again, the reality may be slightly different. And then in essence, if we are talking about in essence, we are saying basically the most important characteristics of something, the basis of something. So in essence, what you are saying is true, although there are some parts that are not necessarily true. So the central core piece of what you're saying is valid. In essence, he is a good person, although sometimes he does bad things. Okay, so in principle, he's a good person. Yes, but I would say in principle, this is a good idea. Yeah, in essence, this is a good idea. So in essence, he's talking about the most important characteristics of something. In principle, is talking about the basis for the logical thinking, and in theory talks about logic, using scientific or logical theories. So in theory, theoretically, that sounds fine in theory, but it doesn't work in practice. In principle, thinking about the fundamentals of something, but not the particular pieces. In principle could be according to the theory. Yeah? So in principle and in theory could be the same. But I agree in principle, but there are some particulars that I don't agree with. And then in essence, basically, essentially, the intrinsic part of it. So are human beings in essence good or bad creatures? Well, most of you say in essence people are good, but I'm not convinced that people are good in essence, essentially, in their centre. So in theory, hypothetically, as a possibility, as opposed to reality or in practice or what really happens. Okay, so according to the theory. In theory, if I take my medicine, I will get well, but that doesn't always work in practice because there are always other complicated things. In principle, generally, but not thinking about the specific details. So I have agreed in principle to do this, but I haven't agreed all of the small details. So the basic idea I agree with, but we need to get the realities correct. So in principle is trying to link logic with reality. It's trying to relate theory and the real world. And it says the theory is good. In theory, it's good, but we need to look at or focus on the specifics, on the real world examples of this. So in principle, I agree with you, but I'm not sure that this is the best solution. So the basis of what you're saying is good, but maybe the smaller details need to be changed. And then fundamentally, in essence, basically, the center of what I'm saying, intrinsically, by nature, in essence, he's a very shy person, although it doesn't sound it. So by nature, in the center, the basic reality of this person. Okay, so in theory, it's supposed to be true, but maybe in reality it doesn't happen like that. In principle, I agree in principle. In general terms, this is okay, but we need to look at the practical details because I may not agree practically. And then, in essence, the basic center of something. You're talking about the most important central aspect of an idea. Okay, so in essence, the center of something. Yeah. So in essence, this is very simple, although practically it's very complicated. So, wow, those I think those three are quite difficult because they're very close. This is possible in theory. In principle, it's a good idea with respect to the fundamentals. In essence, the essential nature, the center part of something. Okay, so let's see, formality in theory. 5 informality, use anywhere. In principle. 5.5 informality, use anywhere. In essence. 6 informality, use anywhere. Okay, so they're all there very close, very close. So yes, I think in theory, well, this comes from theory or theoretical, from Latin theoria, from ancient Greek theoria, speculation, contemplation, the thing that is being looked at. In principle, from Latin principium, princeps, first, primus, first. Okay, so it's got the first, and then in essence, the essence of something, the basis of something, the center of it. From Latin essentia, the being, the essence of something. From esse, to be. Okay, so esse, to be. It's a translation of ancient Greek ousia, being. So enough. If you enjoyed the video, give it a rating. Subscribe to my channel, and I will see you soon. Bye for now. So in theory, in principle, and in essence.